just after 2, and I would like to call the meeting to order if I could, please. All members of council are here, along with our planning assistant, Kayla. And with that, I will ask for a resolution to adopt our agenda for today, please.
Resolve the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated with the noted additions, communication for action, 5.2 City of Selkirk, 5.3 Big Hearts.
Can I have a mover? Councillor Bezrowitz, second Councillor Strang. Anything else to be added for the agenda today? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the next we have is the confirmation of the minutes, and we have one set of minutes from our last regular meeting, which was on November the 12th. If you want to bring that forward.
Resolve the minutes for the November 12th, 2024 meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis, seconder Councillor Boulanger. Any corrections, additions, omissions for the minutes from last time? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And the next item we don't have a delegation this afternoon, so the next item we have is 5.1 under Communications for Action. The Interlake Municipal Rec Association, they're having a meeting on December the 2nd in Stonewall. I will be going, but if there is one other councillor that would like to attend with me, that would be fine. As I said to Deepak, I've kind of stepped away. There is a new chair for that group, but I said I would go to a couple meetings, but if somebody else is interested in sitting on that committee, I'm fine with that because I will be backing away. So anybody else interested to go?
Resolve Mayor Feeblecorn be authorized for attendance at the Interlake Municipal Recreation Association at Quarry Park Heritage Arts Center in Stonewall at 166 Main Street on December 2nd, 2024.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Horvis seconds. Any discussion?
So does somebody have to, be from this organ to be on that, or what?
Well, you don't have to be, but we are part of IMRA, so it is good to have a representative. And I guess, I know at one time, it used to be like sometimes it would be the rec director or different people from the municipality. So we kind of got away from that, and then of course COVID hit and we didn't have any meetings. So we're just kind of starting to get rolling again. And one of the councillors from Stonewall has stepped up to be the chair, so I'm not sure if we're going to follow the same format. I always thought it was good when somebody from rec was there, because then you got to know what was going on in all the communities with recreation. Like, I don't know what everybody's doing in the area.
That's what I was going to say, maybe
Yeah.
good if Brendan was on to do that. If he, I don't know what his...
Council wishes, I can certainly send Brendan there.
Well, maybe just to check it out,
Yeah.
see. And then
Sure.
Debbie will be there too, and then
So
she
she
could
could
say, do we
support
need
him.
somebody here or not?
Right, yeah, I was going to bring that up anyways, like about having staff rather than elected officials there, especially depending on what they're going to talk about, because if it's programming and things like that, like, yes, we do give the okay, but it's ultimately your rec director, your rec person that kind of puts all that together. So,
Okay.
if Brendan could come, that would be good.
I'll talk to Brendan.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think I have a mover, seconder, call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Then we have the City of Selkirk, the holiday reception invitation.
Yes, Madam Mayor, it's a come and go on Wednesday, December 11th, 2024 at the Selkirk office, Civic Building at 200 Eaton Avenue between 5 and 7 p.m.
Okay.
As you can see, there was an email from them inviting us as members, so which councillors are interested in attending?
Well, I will be going. I usually do go for a little while, so it's kind of a come and go, and I don't know, I don't believe that in the past that we've actually charged for it. I can't remember.
Do they charge for it?
What? Do councilors charge
Oh,
for it?
no,
No.
do they charge?
No, they don't
So why
charge.
don't we just put mayor and council?
We could do
That's
that,
right.
also, yeah.
Yeah.
So resolve Mayor Feeblecorn and council be authorized for attendance at the Selkirk holiday reception at the Selkirk Civic Office in Selkirk at 200 Eaton Avenue on December 11th, 2024.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Strang, seconds. Any other discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. The next item we have is the Big Hearts Hamper Drive.
Yes, Madam Mayor, the Big Hearts Hamper Drive, they've received an email from Wendy Megger, who's the general manager at the Selkirk Home Hardware, but is also the person running the Big Hearts Hamper Drive. And for 2024, they're requesting for their support, either, as through the drive, as well as monetary donations. Now, last year, we did donate to both this charity as well as the Abundant Life, thank you, and through the funds from the Christmas party.
Right.
So we have a resolution to that regard, unless council would like to do something specific.
Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Is Abundant Life also doing hamper drive, do you know?
As far as we are, they are. This year Taylor reached out to them and they have updated like poster information, so they are once again doing it.
Go ahead, Sandra.
One of the things that I found very interesting, and I just heard this on the news, but in the city of Winnipeg, they are making it that you register for a hamper and there will be no duplicates. Now my question is, what's stopping somebody from the city of Winnipeg or out south area is going into Winnipeg and then coming out here? To me, there should be something, and I don't know if you would speak to a minister or if there's a group or somebody, but what's stopping, we should have something that's all across Manitoba. Because with the way that the world is going and there's more demand for these hampers, just making it fair to everybody rather than people going to various entities that are doing it.
I don't think they do any for any Winnipeggers. You have to have, I think they're doing it and delivering hampers within the municipalities within these areas that they're dealing with specifically.
It would
But
just
that's
be-
a good point to
Yeah,
bring
it's
up.
just would be nice, say with Abundant Life and Big Hearts, even for in the area, say if somebody from down south of our municipality, that you go to that one and then just save the room for another one, but I don't know how that would work out.
Very good
Any-
point.
Yeah, anybody else have any comments? I guess the only comment that I would have is I do know that many, many years ago when we used to do them ourselves here, that's the problem we ran into. We would have people from certain areas come here and get a hamper, and then they would go to another municipality and get another hamper. So it does happen, and it's probably worse now than it was then. So, I was just reading Wendy's letter here, and I guess they're looking for everything. Clothing, toys, gift cards, whatever the case may be. Now, I know that, I don't know how many people do it now, but I know that our church still collects. And whatever we have, we have been turning over to Abundant Life, and then a couple of years ago, they didn't do it because they didn't have a base, right?
It was 2022, they didn't do it. Yeah.
Right. But they did do last year, and
Last-
they're doing it again this
Last year
year?
they did, they are doing it again this year, they have. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and, yeah, we'll have to see what we get out of our silent auction, because I think that's the money that we usually transfer over to whoever for Christmas hampers, so. And I guess if anybody, and I don't know if it was on the invitation to bring a tin for the bin to the Christmas party,
I
and,
think it was on the invitation.
okay,
Yes.
so that would be good if we collected some, food there, or whatever the case may be, so. Okay, do we need to do anything with that right now,
We have a
or?
resolution for council.
Okay,
which is resolved, council allocate donations received at the municipal office and holiday event toward Christmas hampers to both Abundant Life Church and Big Hearts Christmas Hamper Initiative for 2024.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Strang, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so that takes us to new and other business, and the first item there under 6.1 is MTI culvert replacements in the Grand Marais area.
Yes, at PTH 12 and 500, they're looking to replace the existing 2 culverts with much larger culverts than what existed there before. There was a 900 millimeter and a 1200 millimeter culverts in that location, and they're replacing it with 1500 millimeter culverts. They've asked for a resolution in support of their proposed, works, and the resolution has been prepared to that regard, but the work is all being done by MTI.
Questions, comments? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I guess I'll refer to my 4 key councilors. Will this help any of those drainage issues in that area?
I'm just trying to think at 512, that's right, the intersection, right, looking at the fire, or the RCP station, right? I didn't know there was an issue there.
Probably just.
I've never seen water overflowing there.
It's kind of on a hill and it
Yeah.
goes this way down.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised they're doing it, because
Yeah.
I know that intersection quite
Well, I
well.
think that culvert on 500 has collapsed on one side,
Mhm.
because as you come down 500, there's that kind of that swamp there, that low spot
Oh,
there.
yeah, I know
You
what you
know where
mean.
it goes across
Yep.
there?
Mariah
Yeah.
Creek,
Yeah.
there's
yeah,
2 big
yeah,
pipes
I
there.
agree.
Yeah.
Those are the ones.
No, that's right on 500, I think this is on number 12.
This is-
Yeah, it's at the
Further
corner of
down.
12 there. But it's kind of on
It's
a
right
hill
on
there.
12.
It comes up.
It says 12 and 500, it's not really
No,
right
it's,
at
yeah.
12.
I don't know why, but I think there's problems that culvert is broken there at that corner. It's smashed on the one side, so.
And I guess my comment, and I don't know either, but I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the subdivision directly next door there.
It's downstairs.
So I'm not sure.
Yeah, the Board of Revision is currently.
You know where it is? It's 1.5 kilometers west of 500, so it's just past the RCP station, that's where they're going, it says right here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that'd be where that swamp is there,
yeah,
that crossover there.
they're changing the culverts near Mariah Creek and located 1.2 kilometers west of 500, so that's just past the RCP station going towards Grand Marais, right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. That would be just about a little bit after that bend there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right there.
yeah, that would help, because it maybe drain that one side to
Absolutely.
the other side.
That I could see
Yeah.
helping.
Yeah.
Okay, so, of the resolution, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Whereas the Manitoba Transportation Infrastructure Department has assessed the existing culverts along path PTH 12 near Mariah's Creek, approximately 1.2 kilometers west of PR 500. And whereas the department proposes to replace the existing 900 millimeter and 1200 millimeter culverts with 2 new 1500 millimeter culverts to enhance the infrastructure and ensure efficient water flow, and whereas the proposed work aligns with the Arm St. Clement's interest in ensuring safety and functionality of transportation and drainage infrastructure within the municipality, therefore be it resolved that Council of the Rural Municipality of St. Clement's supports the proposed culvert replacement works as outlined by Manitoba Transportation Infrastructure.
Thank you for that. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Boulanger, Councillor Sutherland, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, the next item we have is the Gaynor Family Regional Library expansion, and there's a number of documents that we have there, and I think our CAO and our representative on the board might be able to give us a little bit more information on that before we bring the resolution forward.
Yes, Madam Mayor, so what I have is a presentation that I can walk us through it, and then we can go through the administrative report on the overall project. And we did get some legal advice, and I had a long discussion with our legal today, and I don't think there's anything that was suggested by legal not to proceed with the resolution. There may be some minor adjustments to the agreements, and I can explain that in camera with council as to the legal requirements. But I think it's a good opportunity to proceed. So let me bring it forward for first I'll start off with the presentation.
Perfect.
And so what we're looking at is to facilitate the expansion of the Gaynor Family Regional Library. So what's happened here is the Gaynor Family Regional Library is looking at, which is a key regional amenity serving residents of St. Clements, as well as the surrounding communities such as Selkirk, of course, where it's within, and St. Andrews and Denauder. We're all partners, but I assume other people as well around the area use it as well. And the intent here is for the regional library to be able to expand into the space that's been vacated, which was part of the original planning when that library was first constructed. So a little bit of a background on this. The issue is that community consultations in 2023 in Selkirk, as well as with the library, revealed that support of enhancing local facilities, which is consistent with some of the work that's being done in Arm St. Clements as well, and the support for local facilities. Following these findings, the Council of RM was approached and approved the expansion concept of the Selkirk Regional Library, expanding into the space of the RTD. And they directed the administration of St. Clements, St. Andrews, and Selkirk as the three owners of the building to prepare on agreements addressing overall governance, cost sharing, and operational responsibilities. One of the key factors was to address a memorandum of understanding, which was all that existed as to the ownership part of this library. So, as mentioned, the Selkirk Library and the City of Selkirk had done their community engagement, as well as we received the council agreement. An agreement was developed, so that 3 draft agreements were developed. A co-ownership agreement, a facilities expansion services agreement, and the facilities lease agreement. So the co-ownership is intended for the 3 partners that originally in 2012 committed to the construction of the library, the Gaynor Family Regional Library, and what they, those 3 were City of, or RM St. Andrews, RM St. Clements, and the City of Selkirk. That is what I was referring to as the memorandum of understanding that was created in 2012 in order to construct that library. Within that, since then, the RM of Denauder has decided to also participate in the delivery of the services. And so there was an agreement for creating an expansion of the services. So what are the services and who are the partners, so that you can distinguish between ownership and service delivery. And that's where the board is responsible for delivery. And finally, an agreement was created, which was the facilities lease agreement, because the City of Selkirk, when they acquired that land or that building component from the Red River Planning District, their intention was to use 500 square feet for their own purposes. And so a lease agreement was established for that, which mirrored the lease that RPD had for their investment into the original construction, but only for a smaller space. So, as I mentioned, a brief history, City of Selkirk secured the premises formerly occupied. So what happened was in 2012, the original library was built, a committee was proposed a larger facility, and the intent was that if we built a larger facility, that there would be an opportunity to bring in a partner in the Red River Planning District to also occupy that space. And the hope was that in the future, as the library expanded, this would allow for the connection to, for the library to expand into that space. Coincidentally, now seems to be the time when that happens. Unfortunately, there wasn't any agreements created as part of that original proposal, and so between 2014 and 2019, the City of Selkirk started working with Red River Planning to be able to secure the original intention and making sure that the space was available for the library's expansion in the future. City of Selkirk, acting as the steward of the property as they have identified, were identified as the property owner on behalf of the ownership group, negotiated with Red River Planning, and an agreement was established by 2019, which was then backdated to 2014 to address the occupancy when Red River Planning occupied that building. And the City of Selkirk, that should have been, sorry, that number is wrong there on the PowerPoint. In 2023, the City of Selkirk purchased a long-term lease from Red River Planning District, incurring the expenditure of $1,088,878 was the value of the lease that was given to Red River Planning District. So the intent there was that Red River Planning District, who had originally participated in the construction of the third of the size of the building, they were given a guarantee for some 35 years of lease rent-free at net present value, based on net present value of their investment. And based on that, the agreement was agreed to in 2019, that if Red River vacated the space, or Selkirk or the partners had decided to ask Red River to vacate the space, the first right of opportunity would be for the library owners to be reoccupied and purchase that space. If not, then Red River Planning had to find a way to lease that space on a sublease level. So, with that, City of Selkirk has identified significant costs that they've incurred. One, when they were originally negotiating to be able to get that lease resolved, because there wasn't any agreements based on the 2012 outside of the memorandum of understanding, and then the costs associated with the acquisition. Since City of Selkirk has been working as the steward and as the partner, they've identified that these were all total costs, and we've come to an agreement as constructed by council. So the long-term lease, so we see these costs that have incurred by City of Selkirk, which identify the long-term lease purchase, which is the lease agreement and the initial payments. The lost interest income is what they've identified, which is the interest foregone because of they were using their reserves to be able to acquire this. Investment opportunities lost is what they've identified as part of that. Legal and administrative expenses, such as legal fees, administrative costs that were identified, which are expenses related to the cost for the services for the CAO and administrative staff, and the operating costs, which are the utilities and maintenance costs, because this did get acquired in 2023, and they were responsible for the operation costs until this agreement has been agreed to. So the lease purchase, which was identified as $1,000, and there was lost interest income, operating costs, and then legal and administrative costs. And so the agreement objectives have been to develop and are structured to meet the following objectives. So the co-ownership agreement, as I mentioned, establishes now. So this will replace the MOU that we will have now, a proper agreement that my recommendation is should have been signed and developed back in 2012, which is establishing a shared ownership of the expanded facilities with clear governance rules, provides a mechanism for equitable cost sharing and decision making. So as we move forward, and it sets a dispute resolution process and an ownership adjustment formula if necessary. The Facility Expansion Service Agreement defines roles in planning, funding, and implementing the expansion, which is the expansion which will be done by the board and by the library itself, details the services and program enhancements for residents, what services they're providing, establishes a clear reporting requirement of how the library reports through the board, through membership. So this is where Donator is a member on the board to be able to have as part of the governance, but not a member of the ownership group. So this is how you distinguish between the two. And finally, the facilities lease agreement, which governs the operational use and expansion of the expanded space and the responsibility of maintenance and operational costs for that component of it. Provides rules for the subleasing and allocates area for municipal and public use. So which is City of Selkirk is using approximately 500 square feet for archive storage, so it's for municipal use. And consistent to the original lease, this lease will also expire at that time. I'll walk through some of the more details in my report right after this. So what we're recommending is the RMC fulfills its commitment to the partnership and support the continued development of the Gaynor Family Regional Library. The RMC Clements will be required to contribute their equal 1/3 share for the acquisition of the space. So as I mentioned, all the different costs that were identified, which translates to $414,229.71. And invoice was received from the City of Selkirk.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
This number does not include the monies needed to do the expansion. The library is applying for a loan through the province, and is there an RM split as well for that new construction or that new?
No. This is only for the acquisition of the space
Okay, that's
itself.
good. No.
And so, just so the council knows, the acquisition of space, which was paid for $1 million and some change,
Yep.
was estimated to be at present value at $3 million for that same space if you were to construct it. And I mentioned that in the report, and I'll bring that up. And so for financial, what we're saying is it fulfills our partnership commitment and as through our financial contribution and supports the development of the library. So the RM's commitment provides through financial partnership and support of the development of the library. So we've created a resolution as part of this discussion that basically recommends approval of the cost allocation as presented by invoice from the City of Selkirk as outlined in the various agreements, and to sign those agreements. And basically, so we're approving the cost, approving the agreement, and authorizing the execution of those. That's what the resolution is. So, conclusion is that the expansion of the library represents a significant investment in the community, providing an enhanced recreational and administrative space. This larger space will now be able to provide much more range of services to our residents and the residents in the growing area. The agreement also presents an opportunity to continue to show our collaborative and equitable approach working with our two partners, the City of Selkirk and the Yard of St. Andrews. This is a community hub. It shows our collaborative work that we continue to work on and the continued growth, supporting the continued growth in our community. So that's my presentation, Madam Mayor, and what I'll do is I'll go through the report now.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Boulanger, and I have one question. So.
Can you go back that last slide, Deepak? Just
Sure.
the way that's worded, I'm still.
Okay, oops.
The expansion of the Gaynor Family Regional Library represents that, so the 414, from what I understand and what you just said, is to get in line the agreement between all the RMs, because when planning left and that vacant space came available and City of Selkirk purchased them out for $1,088,000, that's what this 414 is dealing with, and that's why I asked, is it set, this 414 is just a chunk of money to fix the problem we had with who owns it, how's the split going, how are we going about it, but then to say in conclusion, the expansion of the Gaynor, this expansion's still coming yet, we have to pay for that yet.
Yes, but it can't come without this acquisition.
Right.
So if there was no agreement to acquire that extra space
So what-
by all three parties,
Can we not
so
say
it's
agreement?
facilitating that.
Can we not say this agreement, instead of saying the expansion of, to me it sounds like we're given money to expand the library. It should say this agreement of the family, this regional agreement with the family regional library.
Correct. I can certainly make the change to the PowerPoint, but the PowerPoint was just a representation of my thoughts for council to
Okay, no,
understand.
that's fine.
But the resolution is clear on that.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah. So the intention here was that you cannot like, the library had a plan for expansion. If there was no agreement between the three
I
parties,
understand
then
that.
City of Selkirk would have voted.
Right, and I get that, but everything we just went through in that 414 is to get the agreement together.
Correct. The
Right.
agreement and the acquisition of that space to move, to be part of the rest of the library. So 2/3 of the library was always owned by the three municipalities. This allows us to take the other third of the space and facilitate
Okay.
the expansion.
Okay,
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
No, I just,
Deepak got it, okay. I guess my question was, and it was to do with the space that Selkirk has for their archives.
Correct.
Okay, so is that kind of, I guess I want to say, is that in stone, or are they going to creep into the other part of the library if they need more space, is my
Well, that
question.
would require further dialogue with their other two partners.
Okay,
What happened here was that they needed the space, and that's why it was set off as a separate lease agreement. And that lease agreement has to go back to the ownership. Now you have a clear agreement on the ownership and the decision-making process, so that in the future, it's very clear who gets to make that kind of decision, not just one of the three partners.
yeah, I can't recall what the, number was for or how much room they needed, but if they need, 100 square feet more, or whatever the case may be, they have to come back to the other partners to make sure that it's okay to do that. Okay.
Yes,
Well, it'll be hard for them, because the expansion will take up the rest.
yes,
So there'll only be this one little room of 500 square feet, and they're paying for that over and above extra, right?
yes.
Yeah,
So it would be just like if it was a stranger renting, if it just so happens it's the town's fault. Is that right? Or-
Correct.
Yeah. They're paying
So they
for it.
prefer to be called the City of Selkirk now.
Yeah. The village of Selkirk.
okay, what else do you have on this,
Small.
please, Deepak? I think you said you were gonna go through.
I was gonna
your
go through the report quickly.
Yeah.
If that's okay, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is, the ARM is considering the agreements to support the planned expansion. So to clarify for Councillor Belanger's point here, so the report's very clear, it's the agreements to support the planned expansion, but not to do this planned expansion.
right.
Okay? These expansions have been identified to enhance recreation services in that space. Background, community consultations conducted, as I mentioned earlier. The drafted agreements were created, as mentioned. So, city secured the premises formally, 2014-2019, and then RPD decided to vacate the space, and as part of its separation of City of Selkirk from the planning district, the City of Selkirk further commit its resources to purchase that long-term lease back from the ownership group. This required an expenditure, as mentioned, of $1,088,878, which was a value below the market value of $3 million of that space. That's if you were to go out and construct that space now. In addition, the city incurred, as mentioned, $115,000 and the $32,000 and the $104,000 in additional legal costs of $13,000 to prepare these new agreements. So all that was bundled together to come to a proper amount of $414,000. The Arm of St. Clements does acknowledge the efforts undertaken by the City of Selkirk to do this work in securing the premises, and based on that, we agreed to pay our third share. So the agreement developed are the ownership agreements, as I mentioned earlier, and then identified and then the recommendations. And the recommended resolution that's coming forward is, as you can see, so we're recognizing the importance. The City of Selkirk has incurred costs, and then the cost allocation is for those agreements, as mentioned, Councilor Belanger. And then, therefore, we're contributing only $414,000. We're estimating somewhere around $2 million. I think Councilor Spicer may have a much more accurate number. $2 million plus, I think, is the cost of the expansion that the library is going through a funding drive, as well as contributions and various loans to do the work. So So if everything's okay, unless there's some further questions, I can certainly read the resolution.
Any questions around the table? Go ahead, Councillor Horvis, and then Councillor Spicer.
I'd just like to say, I'd like to thank you guys for doing this and finishing this off, because I was tired of hearing about this already. I'm glad that there's a consensus here, that we got ownership back, or if it wasn't there, or whatever. What's that?
Okay, good.
But,
I mean, like, there isn't any ownership.
well, there's shares in the building, right?
Building on the land, yeah, it's all
Yeah.
1/3.
It's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and whatever. So I want to thank you two for bringing this to a head here, so we don't have to talk about it anymore. You know, that's all I want to say.
Thank you for that. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
And just to answer our CAO, my understanding is the budget for the cost of doing the work that's required is about 1.3 million. They've already got $150,000 from the Rotary Club. They did do a kickoff, and that was on October the 21st for fundraising. The room was full of people, so that's encouraging. The other thing that I think they're working on is there was some funding from the province for these types of endeavors. So they're going to be trying to get some funding out of the province also to do it. So that's kind of where that fundraising part is. And we do have a person that we know who's involved with working on this, so we employ him also. And we know that he's diligent, so the work that's needed to get done will get done, the work that maybe doesn't need to get done will get done. So that will be helpful also.
So, yes, ma'am.
I know that we were short of library representatives from our municipality. Was there an ad in the paper? I kind of thought there was, or?
I'm not sure if the ad has
Just
gone out yet.
recently,
We've identified it at the last meeting of council,
Okay,
and we're going to do the ad. I'll have to verify if the ad has gone out.
okay. I was just curious to see if anybody had put their name forward to sit on that board.
we're looking for 2 citizen reps.
Right.
Correct. And I don't think there's any names, and as I mentioned to council, if council also has some names to recommend, we can bring them forward as well, and we'll approach them. I do have 2 other comments, as I mentioned earlier. I'll fill council in as to the legal review, because we did have a legal review of the documents, as well as they were written by Selkirk Legal, but just for the perspective of the RMSA comments, I want to make sure we have our own legal review. And majority of it isn't of any major concern. The only thing that's come out of it of significant concern, which I can discuss in more detail, is around dissolving of the partnership. With certain levels of agreement, but how do you constitute fair market value with those kinds of things. The only other thing that I'd like to notify you, council, is that Selkirk and St. Andrews would like to do a signing event at the library, so just letting you know, and we'll let you know that will happen in the next little while. The other is the funding that we are using is going to be coming from our surpluses, and checked with the province, and I don't think that would matter, because normally this has been outside of our budget process, and I want to make sure that we have to go through another public hearing. We know that we have the funding in place, so we can, I think at this point what council is agreeing to is moving forward and agreeing to sign the agreements, and then if we need to go back and do a public hearing in order to put the funds in place appropriately, we'll do that. And if that requires an additional month or 2, we pay additional interest charges and do all that. I don't think we need it. Okay, so based on that, I can make the resolution. Whereas the Arm of St. Clements recognizes the, Councilor, did you have your hand up?
No.
Whereas the Arm of St. Clements recognizes the importance of the Gator Family Regional Library as a key regional amenity that serves residents of the RM and surrounding communities, and whereas the City of Selkirk has incurred costs in securing the premises at 806 Manitoba Avenue and facilitating its availability for the library's expansion, acting in the shared interest of all ownership municipalities, and whereas the cost allocation outlined in the co-ownership agreement, ensures an equitable distribution of expenses among the Arm of St. Clements, Arm of St. Andrews, and the City of Selkirk. Therefore, be it resolved that Council of the Arm of St. Clements approve the cost allocation as presented, including the Arm's share of $414,229.71 as outlined in the co-ownership agreement, and authorize administration to process the required payment. And furthermore, be it resolved that Council approves the co-ownership agreement, facilities expansion services agreement, and facilities lease agreement as presented. And furthermore, be it resolved that the Mayor and CAO will be authorized to execute and sign these agreements.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, second Councillor Strang. Any further discussion on the library? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
So that
Thank you very much.
414,000 will be like on our asset list, right?
It'll be added, it'll be updated to our asset list, so it'll be increased as an overall value of that asset list. But the asset value will be even higher, the
Yeah, but I
414,000.
mean, it's gonna go, yeah.
Yes. So the current, the issue today, the next item on the agenda is the used
Yes.
oil collection
Thank
and
you.
recycling, Madam Mayor. And that's the current used oil and recycling agreement with Recycle West ends on December 31st, 2024. And so a new agreement for the collection and recycling of the used oil materials is required. And which concluded this has been a 12-month, and so Public Works invited qualified liquid used oil material recyclers to submit fees for eligible rebates to collect, transport, and recycle qualifying materials under the MARRC Stewardship Program for Used Oil and Antique Products for 2025. 3 of the 4 vendors invited provided a pricing as follows, and based on the pricing, Miller Environmental declined to give a bid. Public Works is recommending using Recycle West. I'm sorry, yeah, are we going with Recycle West?
Yeah.
Yes. As Recycle West as our provider. And so we will propose resolution to that matter, Madam Mayor, and I can read it.
They're paying us.
Yes. So whereas the current used oil collection and recycling agreement with Recycle West ends on December 31st, 2024, and whereas a new agreement for collection, recycling, and used motor oil materials is required for 2025, be it resolved that Council accept the recommendation of the manager of water and waste, authorizing CAO to enter into agreement with Recycle West for the collection and recycling of used oil and used oil materials as described above.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Borges, second. Councillor Bazarowicz. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Moving on to number 7 on our agendas this afternoon, that is the accounts and the financial statements. So the first item up is the closed list of accounts, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Today, the resolution is a little bit different because we always highlight the funds that are being transferred to the province of Manitoba for the education support levy. So resolved, Council approved the November 19th, 2024 list of accounts, check numbers 2024-1608 to 2024-1674 in the amount of $9,604,049.03 for payment, which includes the first installment of the following school payments. Education support levy to the province of Manitoba, $338,343.20. Lord Selkirk School Division, $6,224,215.02. River East Transcona School Division, $1,811,859.20. And Sunrise School Division, $778,482.73.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Corbis, Councillor Spicer seconds. Any questions or comments on the list of accounts? I'm not seeing any hands raised, so I shall call the question. All in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. And we also have a financial statement ending for October the 31st. So if we could have that resolution, please.
So, thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be discussing details of our finances with council as I do in camera, but the financial statements have been presented. Resolve the October 31st, 2024 financial statements be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second, please. Councillor Boulanger. Any further discussion on the financial statements? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Okay, we have no bylaws, and we will move to communications for information. And there's a few things there I believe that Deepak wanted to highlight, so I will turn it over to him to see what he's got there.
Yes, the first one I want to highlight was the November 19th throne speech that's occurring today. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but hopefully we'll get some good news from the throne as to what's happening in the rural municipalities. Wanted to also highlight the new cabinet that's been created, because it'll be important as we're going to the AMM in next week. And so there are new cabinet members in many of the areas. And so as an example, there's been a change for the Minister for Municipal Relations. And so there's a new person identified, or new minister identified for municipal relations, as well as they've also completed a list of new changes to the deputy ministers, which is the other Manitoba government that has appointed the new deputy ministers. So deputy ministers have moved as well. So we were dealing with one specific deputy minister for quite a long time, and now that our deputy minister has changed. Along with that, I wanted to highlight that there is a new deputy minister in there that we're glad to see, is Michael Jack, who will be the Deputy Minister of Business, Mining, Trade, and Competition. And the other things that I wanted to identify for council, and this will be a significant work on my part for the next couple of weeks, which is that the GROW deadline has been extended to December 2nd. So this is the Growth Renewal Opportunities program for $42 million being devoted to specific types of projects, and we had agreed that we should be filling out the forms and putting our landfill expansion, cell creation as one of those projects to see, which we're estimating around $4 million, so we would want to see some funding come to support that.
If you get funding from one part, can you get funding from a different part too? Or one state funding, or one, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
You
if you
understand me?
Yes, definitely. There are, it's called stacking, and you're not allowed to do stacking on certain types of projects. Now, and it depends on the type of funding that's available. So normally provincially, if you receive funding from province on one project, you can't receive more funding from another program on the same project from the province. But you can sometimes still be able to use federal funds. So depending on the kind of program that's out there, so you might be able to use gas tax dollars as well as provincial dollars. Grants.
There is exceptions to the rule.
Yes, there's some
It
exceptions.
just depends on what your project is.
When you're doing that grant or application for the waste management there and that, would it be beneficial to show them that the other communities that bring to us?
That's exactly what we'll be showing,
Yeah.
that this is a regional facility, it's a regional landfill, and it's a class 1 landfill that needs the level of support, it's growing, and we're supporting some of the regional areas, and we have others that are interested.
Because that government might be more, because we're not really, you know what I'm saying?
It's not just an incellular landfill, yes. And beyond that, the other one I want to bring to your attention was, is it Reeve or Mayor? Reeve, Brad Sue has requested to share with council for a re-election, as we've shared with others as communication for information. I was also contacted by another Reeve today, but he'll be contacting each individual. We didn't have a pamphlet, but we'll be contacting individual members that are attending the conference directly. Another Reeve that will be going forward.
Yes, and I had a phone call at home from a counselor who, I'm not even sure how, I spoke to him about, I think it was to do with the good roads, and he's also running for vice president, so he was looking for support, and if I can think of his name, I'll send it out to you folks. I know his first name is Scott.
Scott, Spicer.
Okay, is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up under the communications for info? I'm not hearing or seeing anything, so we're going to move on to the council reports. And I think I will start with Councillor Spicer today.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This morning, I attended the Northeast Community Health Committee meeting. We haven't had a meeting for about 6 months. So it was a 2-hour meeting, but
We'll be doing this very quickly.
the one thing that seems to be something that really needs to happen communication-wise is there's a lot of doctors moving around from place to place. So historically, what would happen is a doctor would say, okay, I'm moving and or I'm retiring, and there would be a doctor sitting there that was going to take over that practice and those patients. That doesn't happen anymore. There is no doctor waiting, okay? So the important thing that I wanted to get out today was, and some of you will know this and some won't, when a doctor leaves, the policy now is for the IERHA to direct the patient to the family doctor finder. Now this thing's been up and running for quite a while, but it hasn't been put down in policy that this is what you do now. So you'll go on a list, and in the meantime, if you need care, then you go to a walk-in clinic or something like that. So at some point in time, you will get a call from the family doctor finder, and that will be to set up a meet and greet with the new doctor. Now, then if it works out, that's your new doctor. For whatever reason, maybe that's not the person you want to see. If that happens, you're instructed to call back to the doctor finder, you go back on the list. Now, the important thing to remember is you don't go down to the bottom of the list, you go back to where you were. So, there will be a draft communique coming out. They're probably going to ask us to put it on our website, just to help get the word out, because generally, I don't think everybody knows that this is their policy. So that was the biggest thing that came out of the meeting. They are still doing micro-credential courses for people for various positions. They're doing one for home care in Selkirk right now. They still have many positions that are open. The one thing that is positive is they showed a graph of last year. Last year in the IERHA, through all of the positions, more people left than what they hired. So their year end, I believe, is April 1st. So from April 1st till end of October, that's changed. They've hired more than left. So there is some positive movement coming. Our next meeting is going to be in January. They did do the doctor recruitment in Gimli. Apparently it went over quite well, other than maybe the sound dynamics of the room was a little tough for people to hear, apparently. So that was one challenge with it. But, the other thing, just quickly, Grand Marais had service 23 days in the summer, and there was 150 patients seen.
That's pretty good.
So unless there's any questions, that's all I've got for my report.
Go ahead, Rob.
Just to speak to Councillor Spicer's report on the Find a Doctor app or program, I can speak firsthand to that. My wife, her doctor retired after 35 years of having her as a doctor. She went on that Find a Doctor thing on the computer. Within a month, she got a call and she found a new doctor. It was actually quite a pleasant process. So just to speak to what you were saying, and now she's got a doctor in Bossier, and it's all good. So it
The big reason why you want to get this out is apparently there are people phoning like Bossier from western Manitoba trying to get in to see a doctor. So, you know, people are just circumventing, trying to get service, right? So we're trying to make it so it's fair and equal to everyone, and sounds like it works, so that's good.
That's good. Anything else for Councillor Spicer? Good, thanks for that, Scott. Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, finding a doctor is a challenge. All I have to report is November 14th, River Basin Commission and Board.
Okay. Councillor Forrest.
I have nothing to report since our last,
You were traveling. You've been traveling. Councillor Sutherland?
I have nothing to report, or, it's our last
Yeah,
meeting,
it's
which
only
is
been
kind
a week, so,
of, it's been short, so.
yeah. So Councillor Strang, go ahead.
I only have to report is November 14th, also attended with the mayor, Councillor Belanger, Councillor Bazarowicz, the Red River Basin South Chapter Gala.
Okay, thank you for that. And go ahead, Councillor Belanger.
I will have the same. I attended that gala in Morris. It was nice to see a good handful of ministers there. We were able to chat with a few of them and bend an ear, so it was nice to see that they were there and that they were accessible. That's it.
Okay, I have a couple of things. On November the 13th, we had a WMR/CPR info session. It was set up to review some of the new legislation under Bill 42. And although the province was the one that put the legislation in place, they did not participate in the session, and some questions were brought forward. And it was an in-camera discussion, so that's really all I can tell you at this point in time. November the 14th, I attended at the Selkirk Food Bank, and the Lieutenant Governor, Anita Neville, visited the food bank to discuss her Sharing Hope initiative. She explained how it works and how the food that is collected at government houses is distributed. She has recently visited some rural communities to try and help those in need. There were a few questions going both ways, and the food bank expressed the need that they have, as requests this year are up by about 40% at the food bank in Selkirk. But they also have good working relationships with the suppliers that they use, and you know, like some of the grocery stores, if they're, say their produce is almost at kind of end of life, they'll give it to the food bank so it can be distributed. So, but the big thing was that in her travels, she brought 425 pounds of food for the food bank. So it was left with the food bank in Selkirk. And I did ask the question of one of the food bank, she's on the board, but she's not so involved with the clients there. I was curious to know if they have residents from our northern part of the municipality that use the food bank in Selkirk, because we sometimes hear that they have nothing in the northern part of the municipality. And I was told that yes, they do have some residents from our municipality that do use the food bank there. So that was good to know. And of course, November the 14th, that was the gala that everybody else has spoken about. And Jody Gwertson, former district manager of the Seine Rosso Watershed District, received the 2024 South Chapter Award, and it was presented that evening. This past weekend, on Friday, the 15th of November, I volunteered actually for Holiday Alley at 2 events. On the 15th, I volunteered for a couple of shifts. Oh, I worked at the Wishmean Makers Market, greeting and directing crafters to their booths within the Gordon Howard Center. The market was always a success. And on Sunday, I volunteered at the Newcomers Storytelling Cafe, which was at the Lutheran Church. It was very interesting. The turnout for the event was good, and there was a facilitator and 4 newcomers. All had very good stories to tell on how they left their homeland to find a new land to call home. Very interesting of some of the things that they had to go through and where they had to go. They had one gal from the Ukraine, one from Congo, and 2 others. I can't quite remember. I think I have the info in my purse, but it was very interesting. And I thought it was a very good event to see what some of these people go through to get to where they are today. So I found it very interesting. That's all I have. Do you have anything to share?
You normally go through council, Madam Mayor, and then the CEO's report.
I did.
Is that everybody in council?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Where are you?
Would you like me to go through my report, or would you like to go in camera? I think I can probably just go through my report pretty quickly. Okay, so I'll do my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
St. Clements Activities Center, as been communicated on an ongoing basis, construction is anticipated to complete the exterior shell before major snowfall. Hopefully, it's already been done or will be done very shortly, depending on how much snowfall happens today. And we'll be working on the interior work throughout the winter. We continue to monitor the various weather delays that they have had and the impact on the final occupancy, and we'll bring that back to council. Specific design elements are continuing to be addressed through the design build process as we're going through the build and designing on it as necessary to continue to realize savings. The project continues to be on budget, which is very important. Thank you to our project manager. Lockport wastewater treatment plant. The decommissioning of the wastewater treatment plant project is being completed. I think it might be totally complete by now.
Close.
It's almost complete, almost done. The construction of Harold and George for the reinstall of the asphalt is completed, and I understand a lot of our residents are very happy. The DFA projects are nearing completion, and we will be submitting the cost of the profits on those as accruals. And additional DFA requests have been submitted for 2024. There's been ongoing dialogue with the province of Manitoba. AMM has been communicating with them, and Kevin has been supplying some additional information. So there is hope for several of the things that we had talked about with AMM members at the conference to put together a proposal. That has happened, that we had coordinated. We have started the landfill engineering work. The selection has been proceeded, and then we're ready to start designing that as we move forward. Obviously, we'll be bringing it back at the budget, and as mentioned, we'll be applying for the GROW on that. The general meetings I've had with City of Selkirk and St. Andrews on the library expansion, as well as various other general meetings with business operations, John Q. and legal. Monthly update on fire department statistics for the month of October, as well as for the month of October brought in a total of 10 emergency response calls. For the Narrow Fire Department, since I wasn't able to provide September last month, I'm providing you September as well. We had 6 emergency calls at the Narrow Fire Department, 8 in October at the Narrow Fire Department. East Beaches had 7 emergency calls in September, 1 in October. East Selkirk, they were delayed in updating their fire inspection reporting system. So from August to September had 9 emergency response calls, and October 1 emergency call. We also are providing some bylaw enforcement updates. So animal control had a total of 3 complaints in August, 2 patrols, 1 animal impounded, 3 dogs at large. Weekend enforcement wrapped up in September until next spring. We wanted to note that the communications and services throughout this year was very good, and are very happy with the professionalism and dedication of PBLE within our municipality, and we're continuing to encourage use of their services. On October 20th, 2024, Angelo Chinfloni, on October 20th, 2024, Angelo Chinfloni passed away. Angelo was our longtime animal control officer, and that was a very sudden passing. Due to that, we haven't been able to get the most recent up-to-date statistics, understandably, as PBLE is looking at dealing with the loss and hiring new staff in order to provide that. In the meantime, we are getting services for animal control. We wanted to let you know about that. Finance update. I'm going to give you the 2024 tax statistics report for council. So we processed about $2.27 million in-person transactions on tax week. I've also provided a copy of the detailed statistics, and I'm going to just briefly go over those to councils. We processed 3.51 million, including electronically posted checks, total overall transactions during that week. We also, for the month of October, collected 10.82 million overall payments in the areas. Both, in many cases, we get taxes, utilities, and other bills paid off at the same time. We have approximately 2.8 million outstanding in 2024, and approximately 250 at this point, and approximately 250 of that is amount of added taxes, which is not due till December 31st. On that, what I wanted to do is, I'll come back to the statistics. We also have started a redesign and refresh of our website for the RMSA comments, and we'll give you an update on that. We'll be discussing in more detail later with council as to what some of the things we're looking at doing there. So on the tax collection statistics, what I want to do is just walk over quickly for you on some of the information there. So when we take a look at the total processed in 21, 22, 23, 24, the total dollars are similar. 23 was a significant dollars more for different reasons that we can talk about later. Based on that, what we noticed that is we've moved more to electronic payments, as you can see. So we've done basically in the last 3 years. So remember, 2021 is when we offered the tax drive-through program, as well as offering an opportunity to do more electronic transfer of funds, and that's where people are going. And I think a lot of this is, some of it is due to our movements towards it, and some of it is due to COVID, after which many people decided to start going to electronic processing. When we take a look at the numbers that coming in, there was 2023 was a reassessment year, more people showed up. But what you're beginning to see, the numbers are decreasing as to in-person visits. And that's directly reflective of the transaction. So that's giving us a good indication of where we're headed as an organization and how to prepare for that. And so I'd say the value of the, I can truly say that when I started here in 2020 and watched the lineups in the freezing cold weather where we had our residents standing in line outside the building, wrapped around the building, going into the parking lot, to now nobody ever, there's no lineup ever beyond inside the building itself. Going to many other years where I was walking up and down the line, telling people that they could pay in through the tax drive-through, and many were beginning to take advantage of it. Now it's come in that many people are now beginning to choose to do that. I think it's given us, we've been able to speed up a lot of the processes in there, because now we're also processing them. We originally started just receiving checks only, now we're processing directly at the tax trailer. And so there's been some significant changes. So I just wanted to cover that and make sure that those statistics were available for council. And as you can see, the numbers have been consistent, and the in-person numbers have been dropping, which was expected.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Quick question, so we have 2.8 million outstanding, that is municipal and school?
Yes. And
that's a pretty good percentage then compared to what the total levy was.
I'd agree. One of the other things I do want to note is that last year, 2023, we had a lot of our staff impacted by COVID, to the point there were only 2 staff members dealing with the numbers. And if you notice the numbers, they're quite large. The 2 staff members were Shannon and Gail, who delivered almost double of what we received this year for in-person visits. So I just wanted to recognize, since Gail was here, that there was a lot of hard work that year that we recognized that year.
So that's about 11% outstanding.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And that's my report, Madam Mayor. We can go into in-camera.
Okay, but first, before you read that resolution, I would just like to check with Kayla to see if she has anything that she'd like to share with us today.
Just further to the tax week, I've only had a few seasons of taxes since my career here, but it was very smooth this year. Everyone worked really well together. A lot of communication was really good. It was very smooth. It was very good.
Perfect, thank you for that. Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Kayla, were you in the trailer or were you?
Both.
Both?
Yeah, mostly counters, cell phones, in the trailer, a little bit of everything. We mostly rotated through, but yeah.
So everybody gets to know the different
Yeah,
positions, that's
yeah.
great.
This year, they chose not to draw upon any services from the CAO at all. Last year, I was asked to take funds to the bank when we ran out of the staff.
They didn't wanna fix up anything after.
Well, it's a good thing, I think it's a good movement, or maybe some people may disagree. The first year when we went in here, I was involved working at the outside counter, everywhere else, and then slowly they pushed me out, which I think is a good thing.
Sandra, you had another comment.
I just had a question actually for a CAO about the community center. I just noticed there's a delay there, like things are not moving. Is there anything else that's going on? Just that there's lots of walls still not up and there's no roof on
No roof,
anything?
yeah.
Yeah, there's been some slowdown in the material, and our project manager is on the case. They understand, and we've been taking note. As in any contractor, they have the right to do their work within the timeframes, and if they don't, then when they come to ask for extensions, there are penalties associated with that, as well as if they ask for additional funding, we have some evidence as to why there wasn't some work done. So that's where the negotiations will happen. There's no reason, there is no outstanding issues to deal with. We did have some outstanding issues and some minor issues, but I think generally the contractor has been delivering according to our requirements.
Thank you.
If anything, I thought there would have been ahead of time with this weather that we got up till now.
I would have preferred that too.
Okay, anything else then? Thank you for sharing that, Kayla, and if I could have the resolution to move in camera, please.
Resolve council recess the regular meeting and go in camera to discuss legal and personnel issues, and further be resolved that all matters discussed are to remain confidential as per section 83(1)(b) of the municipal act.
Now the mover, please, Councillor Bazarowic. Second, please, Councillor Strang. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, Kayla will turn the camera off. And then let's go. We'll be stealing this on the
So Kevin first, so we can develop